If I had to pick between you and Oscar today, I'd pick him." The words hung in Dr. Leslie Hume's sterile office like a toxic cloud. I stared at my wife, Tori, watching her perfectly glossed lips form that devastating sentence. 22 years of marriage, and she'd just picked her ex-boyfriend over me in front of our couple's therapist. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. "Well then," I said, standing up from the beige couch that probably cost more than my monthly salary, "go pick him." Dr. Hume's pen froze mid-note. Tori's mouth dropped open, revealing her dental assistant's perfect teeth. The air conditioning hummed awkwardly. I walked out, slamming the door so hard the motivational posters rattled. "My name is Miles Drayton, and I'm 46 years old. I write software for a living, which means I solve problems for a living, and my wife had just become a very big problem." 3 months earlier, everything seemed normal. Tori worked at Dr. Keen's dental clinic, gossiping with her best friend Jenna between root canals. I debugged code at TechFlow Solutions downtown. We lived in a modest 2-story house in Lakewood, a Cleveland suburb where the biggest excitement was arguing about snow removal. But normal was an illusion. Marriage is like software. Eventually, you discover the bugs. The first glitch appeared on a Tuesday. Tori started taking calls in the bathroom, whispering behind the locked door. When I asked about it, she'd say it was just Jenna or work stuff. But Jenna called on the house phone. And Dr. Keen didn't require hushed conversations at 10 p.m. Then came the mysterious lunches. Tori would leave work claiming she was meeting old friends. In 22 years, she'd never mentioned having old friends worth meeting. Her social circle consisted of Jenna, her mother Ruth, and the checkout lady at Giant Eagle, who remembered her birthday. I'm not naturally suspicious, but I'm naturally logical. When your wife starts acting like she's running a covert operation, you start paying attention. The breakthrough came 3 weeks ago. I was fixing our shared car's GPS when I noticed something odd in the location history. While Tori claimed to be at lunch with girlfriends, the car had been parked at Riverside Commons, an upscale condo complex downtown. I knew exactly one person who lived there, Oscar Vance, Tori's ex-boyfriend from college. The same Oscar she'd dated before we met, the one who dumped her for a sorority girl 23 years ago. The same Oscar who'd become a flashy real estate agent, driving a ridiculous red Cadillac and posting motivational quotes on Facebook. That night, I confronted her. "How was lunch?" "Fine," she said, not looking up from her phone. "Where did you go?" "That new place downtown. You wouldn't like it." "The one near Riverside Commons?" She froze, caught. "Miles, it's not what you think." But it was exactly what I thought. Over the next week, the truth spilled out in pieces. Oscar had reached out through Facebook. They'd met for coffee, just as friends. Coffee became lunch. Lunch became long conversations about what might have been. "He's changed," she insisted. "He's more mature now." Oscar Vance, mature. The man who posted shirtless gym selfies at 47 and wore gold chains unironically. Right. The final piece of evidence came accidentally. Tori forgot to hang up a call properly, and I heard her giggling to someone about Oscar's talented tongue. The context wasn't about his speaking abilities. That's when I suggested couples therapy. Dr. Hume came highly recommended, though her office felt like a beige prison designed to extract confessions. For 6 sessions, we danced around the real issues. Tori complained I worked too much. I pointed out she was emotionally cheating. Dr. Hume nodded and took notes, occasionally asking how that made us feel. Then came today's session, and Tori's nuclear option. If I had to pick between you and Oscar today, I'd pick him. So here I was, sitting in my Honda Civic in the therapist's parking lot, rain drumming on the windshield. My phone buzzed with texts from Tori. "Miles, come back. We need to talk." I didn't mean it like that. "Please don't do this." I turned off my phone and drove home. Our house looked different now, like a crime scene I was seeing for the first time. The family photos on the mantel seemed to mock me. The wedding picture in the hallway showed two kids who had no idea what they were signing up for. I poured myself a beer and sat in my home office, staring at lines of code that suddenly made more sense than my marriage. My phone kept buzzing with Tori's increasingly frantic messages, but I ignored them all. Around midnight, I heard her car in the driveway. She came through the front door calling my name, her voice echoing through our suddenly hollow house. Miles? Miles, we need to talk about this. I stayed in my office, door locked. She knocked for 10 minutes before giving up. The next morning, she was gone before I woke up. She'd left a note on the kitchen counter. Staying at Mom's until you're ready to be reasonable. Reasonable. She'd emotionally cheated with her ex-boyfriend, publicly humiliated me in therapy, and I was the unreasonable one. I called in sick to work and spent the day thinking. By evening, I'd reached a conclusion. If Tori wanted to pick Oscar, she could have him. But she wasn't getting me as a consolation prize, and she wasn't walking away from this marriage without consequences. I opened my laptop and started researching divorce lawyers. Then I had a better idea. I called my coworker Raj, the only person at work who knew about my marriage problems. She actually said that? He asked. In front of the therapist? Word for word. Dude, that's ice cold. What are you going to do? I'm going to give her exactly what she asked for. Meaning? She picked him. Now she gets to live with that choice. Raj Patel had been my friend since we'd started at TechFlow 5 years ago. He was brilliant with databases and had a twisted sense of humor that matched mine perfectly. More importantly, he understood that sometimes the best revenge was simply letting people face the consequences of their own decisions. So, what's the plan? He asked over coffee the next morning. Information gathering first. I need to know exactly what I'm dealing with. You mean like a background check on Loverboy? Something like that. Raj grinned. I may have accidentally stumbled across Oscar Vance's social media profiles last night, purely by coincidence, of course. He pulled out his phone and showed me Oscar's Instagram. The man was a walking midlife crisis. Gym selfies, motivational quotes about winning in life, and photos of his red Cadillac. But the interesting part was buried deeper in his posts. Look at this, Raj said, scrolling to a photo from 2 months ago. Oscar at a fancy restaurant, arm around a blonde woman. The caption read, Date night with my beautiful fiancée Lindsay. Blessed das engaged aber winning. I stared at the screen. He's engaged? Gets better. Look at the ring. The woman, Lindsay, was wearing a diamond that probably cost more than my car. She looked young, maybe early 30s, with the kind of polished appearance that screamed, successful professional. Does Tori know about this? Raj asked. I doubt it. She's not exactly social media savvy. So your wife is having an affair with a guy who's engaged to someone else? Looks that way. Raj whistled low. This Lindsay chick is going to be pissed when she finds out. An idea began forming in my mind. What do you know about data recovery? You mean like recovering deleted texts and emails? Exactly like that. That afternoon, while Tori was at work, I went home and collected evidence. Our phone plan included text message logs, which showed dozens of messages between Tori and Oscar over the past 2 months. The content wasn't visible, but the frequency told a story. I also found Tori's old laptop in the closet. She'd upgraded to a tablet last year but never properly wiped the hard drive. 30 minutes with recovery software revealed a treasure trove of Facebook messages. Reading them made me sick, but I pushed through. Tori and Oscar had been planning their reunion for weeks. She'd told him I was emotionally distant and didn't appreciate her. He'd responded with all the right words about how he'd never stopped thinking about her and made the biggest mistake of his life by letting her go. The messages got progressively more intimate. By last week, they were planning weekend getaways and talking about making up for lost time. Oscar had even suggested she might be happier with someone who really understands her. But nowhere in the messages did Oscar mention Lindsay or his engagement. He was playing Tori just as much as she was betraying me. I printed everything and stored copies in multiple locations. Then I did something that felt petty but necessary. I created a detailed timeline of their affair, complete with dates, locations, and message excerpts. That evening, Tori called. "Miles, this is ridiculous. Come home so we can talk like adults." "I am home. You're the one who left." "You know what I mean. We need to work through this." "Work through what exactly? You made your choice pretty clear." "I was upset. I didn't mean it." "Which part didn't you mean? The part where you've been sneaking around with Oscar for 2 months, or the part where you'd pick him over me?" Silence. "How did you— Never mind." "Miles, it's not what you think." "It's exactly what I think. The question is, does Oscar's fiancée know what you think?" Another long silence. "His what?" "Lindsay. Pretty blonde, big diamond ring, posts about their engagement on Instagram. Ring any bells?" I heard her sharp intake of breath. "That's impossible. He told me he was single." "Oscar lied? I'm shocked." "Miles, I swear I didn't know." "But you knew you were married." She started crying. "This is all wrong. This isn't how it was supposed to happen." "How is it supposed to happen, Tori? You sneak around with your ex until what? I conveniently disappear?" "I never meant to hurt you." "But you did. Repeatedly. For months. Can we please just talk in person?" "I don't think so. You made your choice. Now live with it." I hung up and immediately got another call from an unknown number. "Miles? This is Oscar." His voice was smooth, confident, the voice of a man who sold houses to people who couldn't afford them. "What do you want, Oscar?" "I think we should meet. Man to man. Clear the air." "The air seems pretty clear to me. You're screwing my wife." "It's not like that. Tori and I have history. We're trying to figure things out." "While you're engaged to someone else?" A pause. "That's complicated." "I bet it is." "Here's what's not complicated. Stay away from my wife, or I'll make sure Lindsay knows exactly how complicated your life has become." "Are you threatening me?" "I'm promising you. Leave Tori alone, or everyone in your life learns what kind of man you really are." "You can't—" I hung up. Raj called an hour later. "Dude, you need to see this." "What now?" "Oscar just posted on Facebook something about dealing with jealous husbands and moving forward with positivity. The comments are brutal." I pulled up Oscar's page. Sure enough, he'd posted some vague nonsense about overcoming obstacles and not letting negative people hold you back. But the comments section was a goldmine. Several people had asked what he was talking about. Someone named Mike had written, "Everything okay, man?" A woman named Sarah had posted, "Hope you and Lindsay are working things out." But the best comment came from Lindsay herself. "What obstacles? Call me." "He's digging his own grave," I told Raj. "Yeah, but he's trying to drag you down with him. Look at this." Raj sent me a screenshot of a group message Oscar had sent to several mutual acquaintances from high school. The message painted me as a controlling husband who was harassing him for reconnecting with an old friend. "He's trying to control the narrative," Raj observed. "Then we need to control it better." The next morning, I made 2 phone calls. The first was to a divorce attorney named Patricia Chen. She was expensive but had a reputation for being thorough and aggressive. "Based on what you've told me," she said after reviewing my evidence, "you have grounds for fault-based divorce. The adultery is well documented." "What does that mean practically?" "It means she gets less in the settlement, possibly much less, depending on how the judge feels about her behavior." "Good." The second call was to Dr. Hume's office. I requested copies of our session notes, which was my legal right as a patient. "Mr. Drayton," Dr. Hume said when she called me back personally, "I'm concerned about how our last session ended. Would you like to schedule individual counseling?" Actually, I'd like you to know that my wife has been having an affair throughout our couples therapy. I have documentation if you're interested. A long pause. Mr. Drayton, I can't discuss. I'm not asking you to discuss anything. I'm informing you that one of your patients has been lying to you for 6 weeks. Thought you might want to know for your notes. I hung up and smiled for the first time in weeks. The pieces were falling into place. Lindsay Martinez was a marketing director at a downtown firm, according to her LinkedIn profile. She was also about to have a very bad day. I'd spent the morning crafting the perfect email. Nothing accusatory or dramatic, just a concerned stranger reaching out with information she deserved to have. I attached screenshots of the most damning messages between Oscar and Tori, along with the timeline I'd created. Dear Ms. Martinez, I wrote, I don't know you personally, but I believe you're engaged to Oscar Vance. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but there are some things about your fiancé you should know. I sent it from a throwaway email account and waited. Meanwhile, Tori had been calling constantly. Her messages grew increasingly desperate as she realized the situation was spiraling beyond her control. Miles, we need to talk. Oscar says you're threatening him. Miles, please call me back. I think I made a terrible mistake. Miles, Mom says I should get a lawyer. Is that really necessary? I ignored them all. Instead, I focused on work and waited for the inevitable explosion. It came sooner than expected. Raj texted me at 2 p.m. Check Oscar's Facebook, now. I pulled up Oscar's page to find a war zone. Lindsay had apparently received my email and done some investigating of her own. Her comments on his recent posts were surgical in their precision. Under his Overcoming Obstacles post, she'd written, Is the obstacle your married girlfriend? Because I have screenshots that suggest otherwise. Under a gym selfie from yesterday, working out those cheating muscles, babe. Under a motivational quote about living authentically, authentic like telling 2 women you love them simultaneously. But the masterpiece was her own post, which she'd tagged Oscar in. PSA, if you're dating Oscar Vance, you might want to know he's been telling multiple women he's single, including his ex from college who's actually someone's wife. Receipts available upon request. Dodged a bullet. Dar narcissist. Cheater. The post had 37 comments and climbing. Oscar's real estate colleagues were asking questions. His clients were expressing concern. His mother had commented, Oscar, honey, call me immediately. My phone rang. Tori, sobbing. Miles, everything's falling apart. Oscar won't take my calls. People at work are asking questions. Someone sent screenshots to Dr. Keene. That sounds like a problem. This is your fault. You're destroying innocent people's lives. I'm destroying innocent lives? That's rich, coming from someone who's been cheating on her husband for 2 months. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. How was it supposed to happen, Tori? You and Oscar ride off into the sunset while I pretend nothing happened? I thought maybe we could work something out, like a separation while I figured things out. You mean you wanted to keep me as a backup plan while you test drove your ex-boyfriend? That's not fair. What's not fair is 22 years of marriage ending because you decided the grass might be greener with some middle-aged real estate agent who drives a Cadillac and posts gym selfies. She was crying harder now. Miles, please. Can't we try to fix this? Fix what? The marriage you threw away, or the mess you made trying to replace it? I love you. No, you don't. You love the security I represent. You love having someone to fall back on when your fantasy doesn't work out, but you don't love me. That's not true. Prove it. Tell me you haven't been planning to leave me for Oscar. Silence. That's what I thought. I hung up and immediately got a call from an unknown number. This time, it wasn't Oscar. Is this Miles Drayton? The voice was female, professional, angry. Yes. This is Lindsay Martinez. I think we need to talk. We met at a coffee shop downtown. Lindsay was prettier in person than in photos, but her eyes were red from crying, and her jaw was set with determination. I want to thank you, she said without preamble. And I want to destroy him. You're welcome, and I understand the feeling. 3 years. I wasted 3 years on that lying piece of garbage. We were supposed to get married in June. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Be helpful. I want to make sure everyone knows what kind of man Oscar Vance really is. She opened her laptop and showed me what she'd been working on. A comprehensive dossier of Oscar's lies, complete with screenshots, timelines, and corroborating evidence. I called his ex-wife, she said. Turns out this isn't his first affair. He cheated on her too with a client. She was happy to share details. You've been busy. I'm a marketing director. Destroying reputations is basically my job, except usually I'm building them up instead. She'd already contacted Oscar's real estate brokerage with evidence of his unprofessional conduct. She'd reached out to his clients with concerns about his ethical standards. She'd even found the homeowners association for his condo complex and filed a complaint about his disruptive lifestyle. The best part, she said, is that it's all true. Every word of it is documented fact. What about Tori? What about her? She's married to you. That's your problem to solve. Lindsay was right. Tori was my problem, and I'd been handling her with kid gloves for too long. That evening, I drove to Ruth's house. Tori's mother had never liked me much. I wasn't successful enough, ambitious enough, or Catholic enough for her daughter. But she valued respectability above everything else. Ruth answered the door in her housecoat, looking annoyed. Miles, Tori said you might come by. Is she here? She's resting. This whole situation has been very hard on her. I'm sure it has. May I come in? Ruth reluctantly let me into the living room, where religious figurines stared down from every surface. Ruth, I need you to understand something. Tori has been having an affair. She told me about your accusations. She says you're being paranoid and controlling. I pulled out my phone and showed her the screenshots I'd collected. Ruth's face went pale as she read. This can't be real. It's very real. Your daughter has been sneaking around with her ex-boyfriend for months. She's been lying to both of us. Ruth sank into her recliner. But she said you were having marriage problems. She said you didn't appreciate her. Every marriage has problems, Ruth, but most people don't solve them by cheating with someone else's fiancé. Someone else's what? I showed her Lindsay's Facebook posts. Ruth read them twice, her lips moving silently. Oh, Tori, she whispered. What have you done? She's made her choice. Now she has to live with the consequences. What are you going to do? I'm going to divorce her, and I'm going to make sure everyone knows why. Ruth looked up at me with something that might have been respect for the first time in 22 years. Good, she said quietly. She deserves whatever she gets. I heard footsteps on the stairs. Tori appeared in the doorway, wearing pajamas and a guilty expression. Miles? What are you doing here? Talking to your mother about your affair. Mom, don't listen to him. He's trying to turn everyone against me. Ruth stood up slowly. Tori Marie, is this true? Are you having an affair with an engaged man? Tori's face crumpled. It's complicated, Mom. It's not complicated. Ruth's voice rose to a pitch I'd never heard before. It's adultery. It's a sin. How could you do this to your husband? How could you do this to yourself? Mom, please, get out. What? Get out of my house. I won't harbor an adulteress under my roof. Mom, you can't be serious. I am absolutely serious. Pack your things and leave. Don't come back until you've made this right. Tori looked at me with pure hatred. This is what you wanted, isn't it? To turn everyone against me? I didn't have to turn anyone against you, Tori. You did that all by yourself when you decided to cheat on your husband with someone else's fiancé. I never meant for it to happen. But it did happen. For months. And when you had the chance to choose your marriage or your affair, you chose the affair, in front of our therapist. I was confused. You were selfish. There's a difference. Ruth pointed toward the stairs. Go pack. Now. As Tori trudged upstairs, Ruth turned to me. Miles, I owe you an apology. I never thought you were good enough for my daughter. Turns out she wasn't good enough for you. It was the nicest thing my mother-in-law had ever said to me. Tori ended up at a cheap motel on the west side, according to the credit card statements I could still access. Oscar, meanwhile, had gone into full damage control mode. He'd deleted his social media accounts and was reportedly staying with friends after Lindsay had changed the locks on their condo. But I wasn't done with either of them. The opportunity came the following Friday. Raj had discovered that Oscar was showing a house in Westlake that afternoon, a public open house where anyone could walk in and browse. You're not seriously thinking of going there, Raj said. I'm thinking of buying a house. Nothing wrong with looking at real estate. Miles, this is a bad idea. Probably, but I'm going anyway. The house was a sprawling colonial in an upscale neighborhood. Oscar's red Cadillac was parked in the driveway, looking as ridiculous as ever. I walked in like any other potential buyer, wearing sunglasses and a baseball cap. Oscar was in the kitchen talking to a young couple about granite countertops and stainless steel appliances. He looked terrible. Unshaven, wrinkled shirt, bags under his eyes. The confident real estate agent persona was cracking. I wandered through the house, listening to his sales pitch. He was off his game, stumbling over details and forgetting to highlight key features. When the couple left, I approached him. Nice place, I said, removing my sunglasses. He recognized me immediately. What the hell are you doing here? Shopping for a new house. My current living situation has become complicated. Get out, now! This is a public open house, Oscar. I have every right to be here. He moved closer, trying to intimidate me with his height advantage. I said, get out. Or what? You'll call the police? Tell them I'm harassing you by looking at real estate? I'll tell them you're stalking me. Like you stalked my wife? Oh wait, she was a willing participant, wasn't she? His face flushed red. Tori came to me, not the other way around. Did she? Because the Facebook messages I have suggest you reached out first. Something about never forgetting your college sweetheart and wondering what might have been. You have no right to read private messages. They were on her laptop, in my house, which makes them my business. Another couple entered the house, looking around curiously. Oscar forced a smile and greeted them, but his voice was strained. I followed them into the living room, playing the role of interested buyer. Excuse me? I said to the couple. Are you working with Oscar? Because I'd be careful if I were you. He has some ethical issues you should know about. What are you talking about? The husband asked. Oscar rushed over. Please ignore him. He's not a serious buyer. Actually, I'm very serious, I said. I'm also someone who's done business with Mr. Vance before, and I wouldn't recommend him. He's not entirely honest about his personal commitments. The wife looked confused. What does that mean? It means he was engaged to one woman while pursuing another man's wife. Makes you wonder what else he might not be honest about. Oscar grabbed my arm. That's enough. I looked down at his hand on my arm, then back at his face. Remove your hand, or I'll remove it for you. He let go, but his jaw was clenched with rage. The couple exchanged glances and quickly left. As soon as they were gone, Oscar exploded. You snake! You're trying to destroy my career. I'm trying to make sure people know who they're dealing with. I could sue you for slander. It's only slander if it's not true. Everything I said is documented fact. He was breathing heavily now, his face bright red. This is all your fault. If you'd been a better husband, Tori never would have come to me. If you'd been a better person, you wouldn't have pursued a married woman while engaged to someone else. She was unhappy. She needed someone who understood her. She needed therapy, not an affair. You don't deserve her. Maybe not, but you sure as hell don't either. He took a swing at me. I saw it coming from a mile away and stepped aside, letting his momentum carry him into the granite countertop. He grunted in pain and stumbled backward. Assault and battery, Oscar? Really? In front of a house full of security cameras? He looked up at the ceiling, apparently noticing the cameras for the first time. "This isn't over," he said, holding his ribs. "Yes, it is. You just don't know it yet." I left him there and drove home, feeling better than I had in weeks. That evening, Tori called. "Oscar told me what you did." Oscar tried to punch me and missed. Not really my fault he's uncoordinated. "You're trying to ruin his life." His life was already ruined. I'm just making sure everyone knows about it. "Miles, this has to stop. We need to talk like adults." Adults don't sneak around behind their spouse's back for months. "I made a mistake." "You made dozens of mistakes, every day for 2 months. Can we please meet somewhere, just to talk?" Against my better judgment, I agreed. We met at a diner near her motel, neutral territory where she couldn't make a scene. She looked awful. Her hair was unwashed, her makeup smudged, her clothes wrinkled. The confident woman who'd chosen Oscar over me had been replaced by someone desperate and broken. "Miles, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry about everything." "Okay?" "That's it? Just okay?" "What do you want me to say, Tori? That it's fine? That we can work it out? That I forgive you?" "Yes, I want you to fight for our marriage." "Our marriage ended when you decided Oscar was more important than your wedding vows." "I never said that." "You said you'd pick him over me, in front of our therapist. Those were your exact words." She started crying. I was angry. I felt trapped. I said something stupid. "You felt trapped in our marriage, so you started an affair. That's not stupid, Tori. That's selfish." "What do you want me to do? I'll do anything." "I want you to sign the divorce papers when they arrive." "Miles, please." "I want you to stop calling me, stop texting me, and stop pretending this is something we can fix." "But I love you." "No, you don't. You love the idea of not being alone. You love having someone to take care of you. But you don't love me enough to be faithful to me." "That's not true." "Then why did you cheat?" She opened her mouth, then closed it. No answer. "Here's what's going to happen," I continued. "You're going to get served with divorce papers next week. You can fight them if you want, but I have enough evidence to bury you in court. Your best bet is to sign them and try to salvage whatever dignity you have left." "What about the house? Our savings?" "What about them?" "I have rights." "You had rights. You gave them up when you decided to cheat. In Ohio, adultery affects property division. Ask your lawyer." Her face went pale. "You can't leave me with nothing." "I'm not leaving you with nothing. I'm leaving you with exactly what you chose. Oscar Vance and a cheap motel room. Oscar and I are over. He won't even talk to me." "That sounds like a problem you should have considered before you blew up your marriage for him." I stood up to leave. "Miles, wait. What am I supposed to do?" "Figure it out. You're a grown woman who made grown-up choices. Now, deal with grown-up consequences." I walked out of the diner and didn't look back. The divorce papers were served on Monday. Tori tried calling me 17 times that day, but I'd blocked her number. She left messages on the house phone, each one more desperate than the last. "Miles, we need to talk about these papers." "Miles, I can't afford a lawyer." "Miles, please call me back. I'm scared." "Miles, Mom says I should contest the divorce. Is that what you want? A big, ugly court battle?" The last message was different. "Fine. You want to play hardball? I can play hardball too." Wednesday morning, I got a call from Patricia Chen, my attorney. "Miles, we have a problem. Your wife has hired representation." I figured she would eventually. She's hired Robert Kellerman. I knew the name. Kellerman was expensive, aggressive, and specialized in making divorce proceedings as painful as possible for everyone involved. How can she afford Kellerman? That's what concerns me. Someone's bankrolling this, and I doubt it's her mother. The answer came that afternoon. Raj had been monitoring Oscar's activities through mutual friends, and apparently Oscar had emerged from hiding with a new strategy. "He's telling people you physically attacked him," Raj reported. Says he's considering pressing charges. He swung at me and missed. There's video evidence. Yeah, but he's spinning it like you ambushed him. Says you're stalking him and threatening his livelihood. What else? This is the weird part. He's back with Lindsay. I stared at Raj. What do you mean back with Lindsay? I mean they're back together. She posted about working through trust issues and believing in second chances. They're going to couples therapy. That's impossible. She was ready to destroy him last week. Apparently love conquers all, or maybe expensive jewelry conquers all. Check this out. Raj showed me Lindsay's latest Instagram post. She was wearing an even bigger diamond ring with a caption about new beginnings and stronger relationships. He bought her off, I said. Looks like it. And now they're both coming after you. The strategy became clear over the next few days. Oscar and Lindsay were presenting themselves as the victims of my harassment campaign. They'd filed a police report claiming I was stalking them. They'd contacted my employer with concerns about my unstable behavior. They'd even reached out to our mutual acquaintances with a carefully crafted story about my controlling marriage and obsessive personality. Meanwhile, Tori was painting herself as an abused wife who'd sought comfort elsewhere because of my emotional neglect. Kellerman was building a case that portrayed her affair as a cry for help from an unhappy marriage. It was a coordinated attack designed to make me the villain in my own divorce. The problem was, it was working. Dr. Hume called to express concern about my mental state. My boss at TechFlow pulled me aside for a friendly chat about keeping personal problems away from work. Even Raj started getting questions from colleagues about whether I was handling things okay. They're good, Raj admitted. I'll give them that. They're making you look like the crazy ex-husband who can't let go. Except I have evidence. Evidence of the affair, yeah, but they're not denying the affair anymore. They're reframing it as Tori's desperate attempt to escape an unhappy marriage. That's ridiculous. Is it? Think about it from an outside perspective. Unhappy wife reconnects with college boyfriend. Controlling husband finds out and goes nuclear, harassing the boyfriend and trying to destroy his career. Wife finally admits she's in love with someone else, and husband loses his mind. That's not what happened. But it's a believable version of what happened, and believable is all they need for reasonable doubt. I spent that night reviewing my options. I could fight back with more evidence, but that would only reinforce their narrative about my obsessive behavior. I could ignore them and hope the truth came out in court, but Kellerman was too good to leave that to chance. Or I could give them exactly what they wanted. The next morning, I called Patricia Chen. I want to accept their settlement offer. Miles, that's not a good idea. We can fight this and win. Maybe. But fighting means months of depositions, character assassination, and public humiliation. I'm tired of being angry. You'll lose half your assets. I'll keep my sanity. What about justice? Justice is overrated. I just want this to be over. She tried to talk me out of it, but I'd made up my mind. I was going to give Tori the divorce she wanted on terms she could live with. No more fighting, no more drama, no more revenge plots. I was going to be the bigger person for about 24 hours. Then Oscar made a critical mistake. He called me directly, presumably to gloat about his victory. Miles, I heard you're ready to settle. Smart move. I just want this over with. Good. Tori deserves better than what you gave her. If you say so. I do say so. She's a beautiful, caring woman who needed someone who could appreciate her. Right. You know, if you'd been a better husband, none of this would have happened. Something snapped inside me. Oscar? Yeah? Screw you. I hung up and called Patricia Chen back. I changed my mind. Let's destroy them. The key to defeating Oscar and Tori wasn't more evidence of their affair. It was exposing the lies they'd built around it. And the best way to expose lies is to make the liars contradict themselves publicly. I started with Lindsay. Using a fake Facebook account, I reached out to her as a concerned friend who'd heard about her relationship troubles. The message was carefully crafted to sound supportive while probing for information. "Hi, Lindsay. I heard through mutual friends that you and Oscar have been going through a rough patch. I just wanted you to know that I think you're handling everything with such grace and maturity. Not many women would be able to forgive and move forward after something like this." She responded within hours, clearly eager to talk to someone who saw her as the victim rather than the enabler. "Thank you so much for reaching out. It's been really hard, but Oscar and I are stronger than ever. The whole situation with his ex-girlfriend just made us realize how much we mean to each other." Ex-girlfriend? Interesting. I pressed gently. "It must have been so shocking to find out about her. I can't imagine how you felt when you discovered he was seeing someone else." "It was devastating, but I realized that she was the one pursuing him, not the other way around. She's been obsessed with him since college, and when her marriage started falling apart, she came after him. Oscar was just too nice to tell her no." This was perfect. Lindsay had completely bought Oscar's revised version of events, which contradicted both the evidence and Tori's own story. Over the next few days, I collected more contradictions through various sources. Oscar was telling people that Tori had seduced him. Tori was telling people that Oscar had pursued her. Lindsay was telling people that Tori was a stalker. Kellerman was telling the court that Tori was a victim of emotional abuse. None of their stories aligned. Meanwhile, I'd been working on a different kind of evidence. Patricia Chen had hired a private investigator to document Oscar and Tori's activities. What we found was illuminating. Despite claiming their relationship was over, Oscar and Tori had been meeting secretly at a hotel downtown. Despite claiming to be committed to Lindsay, Oscar was still paying for Tori's motel room. Despite claiming to be victims of my harassment, they were both actively trying to damage my reputation through social media sock puppet accounts. But the most interesting discovery came from the private investigator's financial research. Oscar was broke. His real estate career had tanked after Lindsay's initial social media campaign. He'd lost several major clients and was facing complaints with the state licensing board. His flashy lifestyle was funded entirely by credit cards and loans against his condo. The expensive ring he'd bought Lindsay, financed, Tori's legal fees, borrowed against his 401k, his red Cadillac, 3 months behind on payments. Oscar Vance was a house of cards about to collapse, and he was betting everything on winning Tori's divorce settlement to stay afloat. This gave me an idea. I called Lindsay's office and asked to speak with her about a marketing consultation. When she called me back, I used a voice changer app and claimed to be a potential client who'd heard about her work through Oscar Vance. "Oh, you know Oscar. He's my fiancé. How do you know him?" "Real estate transaction. Seemed like a successful guy. Nice car, expensive jewelry for his girlfriend, must be doing well." "Oh yes, Oscar's very successful. He's been so generous, helping me with some financial difficulties I've been having." "Financial difficulties?" "Well, I had to take a leave of absence from work recently because of some personal issues. Oscar's been covering my expenses while I get back on my feet." This was news to me. Lindsay had taken a leave of absence, which meant she wasn't earning her usual salary. Oscar was supporting both her and Tori, while his own income had dried up. I thanked her for her time and immediately called Patricia Chen. "I need you to subpoena Oscar's financial records." "For what purpose?" "He's been lying about his ability to pay Tori's legal fees. If he's broke, Kellerman will drop the case." "That's not necessarily true." "It is, if Oscar's been promising to pay Kellerman from Tori's settlement. That's a conflict of interest." Patricia was quiet for a moment. "That would be highly unethical. It would also be exactly the kind of thing Oscar would do." The subpoena was filed on Friday. By Monday, we had our answer. Oscar's finances were a disaster. He owed money to credit card companies, his mortgage company, his car loan company, and the IRS. His real estate license was under review. His engagement ring purchase had been financed at 29% interest. But the smoking gun was a promissory note we found in his files. Oscar had borrowed $50,000 from a private lender using Tori's anticipated divorce settlement as collateral. He'd literally bet someone else's money on his ability to manipulate my divorce. Patricia filed a motion to dismiss Kellerman from the case due to conflict of interest. She also filed a motion to freeze Tori's assets pending investigation of financial fraud. The house of cards collapsed overnight. Kellerman withdrew from the case, citing irreconcilable differences with his client. Oscar's private lender filed suit for immediate repayment of the loan. Lindsay discovered that her generous fiancé was actually broke and had been using her credit cards to fund his lifestyle. By Wednesday, Oscar's red Cadillac had been repossessed. By Friday, Lindsay had thrown him out and changed her relationship status to single. By the following Monday, Tori was representing herself in divorce court because she couldn't afford another attorney. The hearing was scheduled for Thursday morning. I arrived early and sat in the back of the courtroom, watching Tori fumble through paperwork she didn't understand. She looked terrible. The stress had aged her years in just a few weeks. Her hair was greasy, her clothes were wrinkled, and she kept glancing around the courtroom like a trapped animal. When the judge called our case, I walked to the plaintiff's table while Tori stood alone at the defendant's table. "Your Honor," Patricia began, "this is a straightforward case of adultery and financial deception." She laid out the evidence methodically. The affair, documented through messages and photographs, the lies, proven through contradictory statements, the financial fraud, demonstrated through bank records and loan documents. Tori tried to object several times, but she didn't know the proper procedures. The judge had to explain basic courtroom protocol to her twice. When it came time for her to present her defense, she stood up shakily and addressed the judge directly. "Your Honor, I made mistakes, I know that. But I was unhappy in my marriage, and I made some bad choices. I don't think I should lose everything because of that." "Mrs. Drayton," the judge said, "you committed adultery. In Ohio, that affects property division. Do you understand that?" "Yes, but—" "And you participated in a scheme to defraud the court by having your legal fees paid through fraudulent means. Do you understand that?" Tori looked confused. "I don't know what you mean." Patricia stood up. "Your Honor, Mrs. Drayton's legal representation was funded by her co-conspirator in the adultery, using money he borrowed against her anticipated settlement. She may not have known the specific details, but she knew she couldn't afford Robert Kellerman's fees on her own." The judge looked at Tori with something approaching disgust. "Mrs. Drayton, did you know how your legal fees were being paid?" "Oscar said he would handle it." "And you didn't think to ask how?" I trusted him." "You trusted a man who was cheating on his fiancée with you to handle your divorce proceedings ethically?" Tori had no answer. The judge's ruling was swift and brutal. I got the house, the savings, the retirement accounts, and the cars. Tori got her personal belongings and half the debt from her credit cards. As we left the courtroom, she tried one last time to talk to me. "Miles, this isn't over. I'll appeal." "With what money?" "I'll find a way." "Good luck with that." She grabbed my arm. "How can you be so cold? We were married for 22 years. I looked down at her hand on my arm, then back at her face. "You're right. We were married for 22 years, and you threw it all away for a broke real estate agent with a fake Rolex and a repossessed Cadillac." I walked away and didn't look back. 6 months later, I heard through Raj that Tori was working at a different dental clinic across town, living in a studio apartment and taking the bus to work. Oscar had moved back in with his mother and was selling insurance for a living. Lindsay had started dating a doctor and posted frequently about upgrading her life. As for me, I sold the house and bought a condo downtown. I got a promotion at work. I started dating a woman named Sarah, who thought my divorce story was hilarious rather than tragic. And every morning when I woke up, I remembered that sometimes the best revenge is simply letting people face the consequences of their own choices. Tori had picked Oscar over me. She got exactly what she asked for.